It's obviously Max Verstappen, isn't it? Let's not play games. Based on what I've seen in practices, Max has got the pace on everyone. Ferrari are either sandbagging or they don't have the pace because they don't really seem massively on the pace. Mercedes look okay over one lap, but still 4 or so tenths down on the Red Bulls. Lower tire temperature, lower track temperature seems to benefit them a little bit. Yeah, maybe Ferrari just didn't show their pace. I skimmed through FP3. I didn't stay up to watch it, but I just skimmed through it while I was making a tea. So we'll see. We will see. There's the YouTube stream as well. Give that a cheeky like. Like and subscribe, kids. It won't let me pin it for some reason. There is a threat of rain for tomorrow. There is a threat of rain. And so, in fact, as I understand it, there's a very good chance of rain. I haven't looked at the weather forecast since earlier in the week, but yeah, there is meant to be a good chance of rain. So, could be interesting. Could be interesting. Come on, Current. How are you doing? How you doing? Give me 1 second. Yeah. That's the badger. All right. Did you stay awake? Wait, I've asked this about 1,000 times, Cohen. Where do you live? Have you stayed awake to watch it? Ah, yes. I always ask you this, and I always forget that you live in America. Now, basically, living in America, every race is at a ridiculous time for you, though, isn't it? In America. Easy Gasly on pole. You already know Gasly's going to get pole. Listen, I've said this before and I'll say it again. The only chance Alpine have of getting pole position is if it rains, because that car's a boat. They do have some upgrades, though. And hey, they must be confident, guys, because they've put more paint on the car. The nose is blue again. So... Right, I haven't even put the broadcast on yet. I should probably do that, shouldn't I? Just, in Okay, something pops out. Morning, Tom. Yeah, so they're only doing this studio setup for the flyaway races early in the season here, but a lot of people complained about it. I'll be honest, if I'm being 100% honest with you, I no longer watch any of the build-up and haven't really done for years. Ironically, I like to watch analysis after the fact, but I don't really care that much for like the pre-race stuff that much. So I don't tend to watch it really. So I don't really care. I think it could be a good race though this weekend. If rain comes, it could be interesting. I think if it's a normal race, then Max Verstappen will win this easily, I think. But yeah. Yeah, a lot of the stuff is a lot of the stuff's padding though, isn't it? You know, they'll start the pre-race an hour before the race, and there's only so much you can talk about. And they do some you know, pretty cool pieces, like pre-recorded stuff. But you can usually watch those on YouTube and what have you. So I don't tend to watch it. Like, genuinely, there used to be a time when I'd watch the build-up to the races. Now, I only tune in like 10 minutes before. It looks very windy out there in Suzuka. I tell you one thing I noticed about the Japanese crowd. They love their hats. They love their funky hats in Japan. You know, the guys with all the wings on the hats. They bloody love them. Some of them have work in DRS. Who do we have dropping out of Q3? That's a very good question, you know. I am gonna say I'm thinking one of the Saubers. Well, obviously Logan Sargent. Let's put Logan Sargent up there. I'm thinking Kevin Magnussen, Logan Sargent, Gasly, Joe Guan Yu, and Ocon. So I'm going to say Sargent, Ocon, Gasly, Magnussen. Who else did I say? Sargent, Ocon, Gasly, Magnussen. Oh, and Joe Guan Yu. That's what I'm going with. And yeah, I've no idea. I will be broadcasting live tomorrow at Timon as well. I'll be live about 15, 20 minutes before the race. Yeah, so I've put Ocon in there as well. Sargent, Ocon, Gasly, Magnussen, Joe Guan Yu. To be fair, it's pretty interchangeable. Hulkenberg could be in there. Bottas could be in there. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Danny Rick is in there. He had a bit of a spin in FP3. Still doesn't look particularly comfortable in that car, does he? And from what we've heard, it sounds like he's a little bit under threat. His position's a little bit under threat, so Yeah. He needs a couple of good performances. Maybe, honestly, it isn't just about Danny Rick. Maybe we're just underestimating how good Yuki Tsunoda is. Is this a little bit of both, maybe? Is it Danny Rick underperforming? We know how much he underperformed in McLaren compared to Norris. Are we just... Are we just not giving Tsunoda the credit? And actually, as it turns out, Tsunoda's much faster than we're giving him credit for. Maybe. Yeah, it's really tough, actually, because I just really like Danny Rick. He just comes across as a nice guy. I don't know. I've never met him, but I don't know. I feel like I want him to do well. But, he's struggling in this Alpha Tauri, but he was struggling in the McLaren as well, wasn't he? It's not just a one-off. He's struggling, and it's been that way for a couple years. It's a shame, but hmm. I'm not sure if I do like that gyro cam. I'm still not sure if I like it. I it's weird. I don't think I like it. Yeah, when he came back to replace De Vries, he did look pretty. He looked okay, didn't he? But if you watch Drive to Survive, I've watched a couple episodes of the new season. I haven't watched all of it, but you watch Drive to Survive and you just see how much it impacts them from a personal level. The struggle. And it has to be hard because he was considered a very, very good driver. When he was alongside Verstappen, and then he's left Red Bull, and you could argue his career went downhill after that. When he first got into that Renault, he struggled a little bit, but he got on top of it, and he actually became really good in the Renault. Then he's left to go to McLaren, and not only did he struggle for pace, but Norris was excelling, which made it look even worse. And then to an extent, that's the same thing that's happened at Alpha Tauri. So I don't think... I genuinely think he needs some better results or he's going to be replaced mid-season. And that would be a kick in the teeth for him. Yeah, I think leaving Red Bull, yeah, he had a good season at Renault. He did have a good season at Renault. But he's just, he's chopped and changed, I think, to a few different cars. And from what I understand, it's all to do with braking. The problem he's having in the Alpha Tauri in terms of speed is the same problem he had in the McLaren. So Tsunoda likes to brake really, really late. Okay? Whereas Ricciardo, even though he's known for late braking, likes to brake a little bit earlier and take more speed into the corner and more speed out. Something to do with this car, though, it just suits the technique that Yuki's using, and it's just not working for Danny. That's what I read anyway, something like that. I mean, that's an unsafe release if I've ever seen it. Like, Russell almost put Norris in the wall. It's not Russell's fault. It's his engineer telling him. But... So, everyone's out, bar from a handful of cars at the bottom. Okay, we're going to have a problem here, I think. I don't think the track map is going to work alongside the timings. Let's see if they do. Let's see if they do. No, that is updating. That is updating. Red Bull, like I saw the onboard around here yesterday. It's so good through the S's, that Red Bull in Max Verstappen's hands. So good. It looks unreal through there. Yeah. Lobato, good morning. Yeah, a second up on the Hadz just in Sector 1. That's how quick it was. Like, he's so quick through the S's. Car's just got so much downforce. Leclerc, for instance, was only what? Well, he wasn't very far out. I'm gonna have to change this around for tomorrow somehow. Bear me a second. Oh, that doesn't really work, does it? No. Yeah, I'll have to fix that tomorrow. So there is a concern here, guys, that Red Bull have gone further ahead of everyone. Alonso's time is good. Alonso's time is good. The track map's not going to work, by the way, for now, because it's hard to explain what the problem is, but I'll fix it for tomorrow. I wonder if I put it in there. And then... Yeah, I'll take that off for now. It's not working properly. I expected Red Bull to be quick around here, but if you see that Red Bull through Sector 1, it's lightning fast. It's so quick. Mercedes at 7. Russell's almost a second off Verstappen. Jesus Christ. Are we... What's going on? Alonso was only 4/10 down. I can't wait to hear Hamilton's talking about how slow this car is again. I mean, Ferrari, Leclerc was a second off. Sainz is almost 7/10 off. What the hell? Fuck, you know, that Red Bull's quick. And I think the upgrades have only made it quicker, guys. Yikes. Yikes. I mean, the only saving grace, or the only chance we've got of an interesting race, I think, then, is rain. Yeah, but if there's rain, it could be spicy, Dan, you know? The great equalizer. Marco did say he was expecting Max to dominate in Suzuka, and he knew the upgrades were coming. So they already knew how much time they were potentially going to gain. Currently, I'm only one driver off my bottom 5. I said Gasly, Ocon, Magnussen, Sargent, Zhou Guanyu. Currently, Hulkenberg is there instead of Ocon. I'm just really surprised by this gap. Like, Alonso's the closest competitor, 4/10 away from Verstappen. So 4/10, I mean, is a lot still, but bloody hell. I wasn't expecting Ferrari and Mercedes to be that far away. I imagine a lot of that's in Sector 1 as well. If I look at the... $31. I mean, actually, to be honest, it's pretty even across the board. Using Hamilton as an example, he was 4/10 down in Sector 1 on Verstappen. But then he was 3/10 down in Sector 2 and 2/10 down in Sector 3. So, I mean, it's actually across the board. But 4/10 in Sector 1 through the S's is quite a lot. Alonso was 1/10 down, 1/10 down, 2/10 down. So Alonso's obviously closer in Sector 1. But yeah, I mean, we didn't see Lance Stroll's lap, but you're right. He must have made some sort of mistake. I mean, he's 1.1 seconds down. His teammate is only 4/10. So there's 8/10 there. They're queuing to come out of the pits. I thought we'd stopped this going slow in the pit lane. I thought we'd stopped that. No? Albon goes up into 11th with that lap. Sargent does not get out of the bottom 5. Shock. He is running the repaired chassis, though, which is pretty harsh, isn't it? So... Oh, no, he actually went into 15th, sorry. So, they... took his chassis off him, gave it to Albon, and then they haven't given him his chassis back for this race. They've given him Albon's repaired chassis. They say it's because it would have been too much work to then swap the drivers back over again. I say that's nonsense because they did it overnight in Australia. Are you telling me it was too much work to do? Like, what? That's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. So they've given him the repaired chassis. Apparently, it's like 100 or 200 grams heavier because of the repairs. So it's not a lot. It is slightly heavier because of the repairs, but we're talking a couple of 100 grams. Yeah, but I don't think they needed to do it trackside because they could have stripped Albon's car back at the garage, couldn't they? I think that's a poor excuse, and I think in the interest of fairness, it's one thing taking his chassis off him. They should have given him his chassis back. I think it's worth the extra work to just show that you are a valued member and we're going to give you your chassis back and thank you very much for what you did. Like, they didn't let him race in Australia. They should have given him his chassis back. Just honestly as just a thank you, but that's just my opinion. Two-week break, yeah. But the cars would have probably been shipped. I think parts of the cars would have probably been shipped from Australia straight to Japan. I'm not sure. Either way, he has that chassis, regardless. Whether it's right, whether it's wrong. And then FP1, he absolutely binned it in the wall, didn't he? So Leclerc goes P4 with the 129.3. Still half a second off Verstappen's time. Gasly only goes 15th, pushes Sargent into the bottom five. So Sargent's going out because he's in the pits. That's a guarantee. That's a guarantee. Ricciardo's on the precipice. Magnussen's out. P16. That's two of them that I called. What about the Hulk? Two personal bests, Sector 1, Sector 2. Hulkenberg goes through, P11. That pushes Gasly into the bottom. What about Ocon? This looks like a better lap from Daniel Ricciardo. Ocon goes P10. Fair play. P9 from Ricciardo. Sonoda will be fine, I think. Bloody Lance Stroll's taking the checkered flag. He could be in trouble. Good lap from Sonoda. Actually slower than Ricciardo. Fair play. Bottas is through. Zhou Guan Yu. Oh, Zhou Guan Yu. Oof. Oof. Lance Stroll's been... Oh, Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll. Oy, oy, oy. Yeah, that was a cracking lap from Bottas. What is going on with... Zhou Guan Yu was slow all session. Bottas just come out with P8, 7/10 off, and Zhou Guan Yu's in last. He must have an issue. He must, because Zhou Guan Yu isn't that slow. Sargent, Magnussen, Gasly I got right. I didn't anticipate Lance Stroll being there. I did say Zhou Guan Yu though, didn't I? Actually, I only got one wrong. Stroll versus Ocon. I'll take that. I said Gasly, Magnussen, Sargent, Zhou Guan Yu. I just realised. I'm not seeing anything other than a Max Verstappen pole position here. Unless Q3, Max is going to try and take too much through the S. He's going to get on the grass. He's going to put it in the wall. Fernando Alonso is going to get pole position. Don't hate me because I know the future. That's all I'm saying. Hey, we were giving him shit as well. Fair play to Daniel Ricciardo. He put in a really good lap there under pressure. He could have been out if he messed that lap up. Fair play. Credit where credit's due and all that. Yeah, I don't know what's happening with Lance Stroll there. Like, what lap did Alonso do? A 29.2? And Stroll did a 30 flat. 0.8 of a second. Also, Lance Stroll had the upgrades in FP1 and FP2. And something to do with the reason because Lance Stroll's chassis was back at the factory first. So they put the upgrades on that. Fernando Alonso only got the upgrades in FP3. But they're both now running the upgraded car. For Stroll to be 0.8 off his teammate, that's a big gap, isn't it? I know we don't rate Stroll very highly, but that's a big gap. Unless he had some sort of issue that we don't know of, that's not good, is it? How long have we been saying this for now? Like, again, just like Danny Rick, who's been struggling at AlphaTauri, Visa Cash App. We've seen a lot of underwhelming qualifyings and races from Lance Stroll over the last couple of years, haven't we? We've seen a couple of standout performances, but Joe Guan Yu saying nothing he could do. He was sliding all over the place. It must be something to do with his run plan as to why he didn't get out at the end there. Because I think you're right. I don't think he did a second lap, did he? I don't know. I don't know what happened there. It was a good lap from Ocon, actually, wasn't it? To be fair, it was a good lap from Ocon. Yeah. We don't get to hear off Bradley Lord very often, do we? But whenever it's Mercedes, it's usually Bradley. Oh God, shoulders clicking. Perez out straight away. Do you know what? This Red Bull reminds me a lot of the Mercedes, like, W11s, these sorts of cars where they were so quick that they don't need to play games and sit in the pit lane. They can just go out on track when they want to go out on track, knowing that as long as they get a clean lap in, that's the best for them. They don't need to worry about really sitting in lines, and they know that they're quick enough to just go out on lap and just put a lap in when they need to do it. They don't necessarily need to wait for the prime track conditions. They don't need to be run last. They just get out there and do it. It's a good track, Suzuka, isn't it? It's a good track. It's a good racing track. Lance Stroll apparently is pretty... I don't want to be mean, right? But Lance Stroll is wondering what happened. I know what happened. And it's nothing to be ashamed of, Lance. It's just, you're just not very good. And the realization is that you're up against Fernando Alonso. And that realization, is telling you that you're not actually that good. Because you're against a world champion, one of the people who, one of the guys who people consider to be one of the best racers, one of the best drivers. So there's nothing to be ashamed of being slower than Fernando Alonso. I wonder if, Lance Stroll, he's a Formula One driver at the end of the day. He wants to be, the quickest version of himself. He wants to compete. So, it's not going to be easy knowing that you're not as good as your teammate. But, I still can't believe that Christian Horner's just carrying on as normal. This case against him still going on in the background, and it's just normal for Horner, isn't it? Like, it's just normal, is it? Why is Verstappen only green? Yeah, there we go. 12 milliseconds! Yikes! A 28.740 and a 28.752. Oof. Oof. Right. Let's see what lap Alonso can do here. I'm interested in this lap from Alonso with these upgrades. He seems pretty strong. Less than a tenth off in Sector 1, but he was he was a tenth off in Sector 1 in Q1, but then he lost another tenth in Sector 2, and then he lost 2 tenths in Sector 3. Hamilton, for instance, is 4.5 tenths off just in Sector 1. Norris, on the other hand, has a purple Sector 1. 600ths up. Let's see where he is at the second checkpoint. 2 tenths off Alonso. So yeah, he's losing a tenth in Sector 1, tenth in Sector 2. Hamilton's 9 tenths off after 2 sectors. Are they on used tyres? They must be. Alonso ended up 3.5 tenths. It's a tenth in every sector. It's pretty much a tenth in every sector. Hamilton's a second off. Yeah, they are on old tyres. Norris 2 tenths off. That is a good lap from Norris. That is a really good lap from Lando Norris. Leclerc, Sainz, how are they getting on? Two tenths off for Charles Leclerc. Just bouncing over those curbs. Such an awkward final sector, isn't it, with that chicane? Yeah, see, every car, apart from the Red Bull, is losing a lot of time in that final sector. I think the Red Bull just rides those final curbs so well. So well. 3.5 tenths, Carlos Sainz. So Albon hasn't set a time yet, nor has Hulkenberg. They're presumably just going to do one run at the end. Ricciardo, Tsunoda, Ocon, the other three in the bottom. Hamilton and Russell are going to have to run again, and if they're not careful, one of those could go out again. They're going to run on fresh tyres, but it's so close. It's so close at the front there that one of those Mercedes guys could end up going out if they're not careful. Yeah, I don't know about that. I felt like Alonso did lose a bit of time there over the curbs. Oh, Hulkenberg did do a time, but it got deleted. What are we thinking? I do wonder how well Liam Lawson would do. Like given a full run. Like given a full run, like even half a season. I do, yeah. My gut instinct is the same. I think Lawson would do better than Daniel Ricciardo. That's my feeling. How many races did he sit in for Daniel Ricciardo? Was it 2 or 3? Yeah, I think it was 3, wasn't it? He competed. No, actually, I think it was 5. The Netherlands, which was obviously where Daniel got his injury, he finished 13th. Then the Italian Grand Prix, he finished 11th. Then Singapore, he got points, finished 9th. Then Japan, 11th. Qatar, 17th. He finished ahead of Yuki at the Dutch Grand Prix. Yuki retired at Singapore, and he didn't start the Italian Grand Prix. He finished ahead of him at Japan. I mean, I know it's not quite that simple, bearing in mind. But he had because Yuki had a few problems as well. But I do feel at this stage he would give Yuki a better run than Daniel would. Let's see what Daniel pulls out of his seat this time around, though. Let's give him a chance and see where he finishes up. He might pull a lap out of somewhere. Maybe, baby. So the top 7 aren't going again. Leclerc, Piastri, Sainz, Alonso, Norris, Perez, Verstappen. They've done their laps. They're not going again. You know, the 2 Mercs are obviously going out because they ran on old tyres. Well, it's actually good for Mercedes that the other cars haven't gone out, I think. We'll just see how Mercedes get on with... no, they're not going to knock Charles. Charles safe on that half a second, for sure. We'll just see, you know, half a tenth down in Sector 1, which is obviously much better than what Hamilton did on his other lap, where he was 4 tenths down in Sector 1. Hulkenberg half a second off. Hulkenberg's one of the guys that could knock him out potentially. Tsunoda and Ricciardo, I think, are the 2. Lap doesn't look too bad from Hamilton so far. He's less than half a tenth down. That was actually a really good lap from Lewis. 1.5 tenths. That was actually a really good lap. George 4 tenths off there, but he's safe. Hulkenberg goes into P10. Ocon's out, sadly, for him. P11. Right, Ricciardo and Tsunoda then. And Albon. No, Tsunoda hasn't finished his lap, Crofty. Ricciardo's in P10. He's in trouble. Tsunoda's going to knock him out. Yeah, Tsunoda knocks out Danny Rick. Less than a tenth, though. Less than a tenth. Bottas 13th. Crofty was talking about Tsunoda, and Tsunoda hadn't even finished his lap. I mean, that's close, isn't it? Like, it's less than a tenth between Tsunoda and Ricciardo there. Can't really grumble about that, can you? Yeah, that's a much better lap from Danny Rick. That could have easily gone the other way. And based on what I've seen, I think Tsunoda will likely finish qualifying in 10th, barring any disaster for any of the other drivers. So, yeah, it was a little bit spicy for Charles Leclerc. It's just a little bit spice, but you know, spice up your life, isn't it? He was safe. He knew he was safe. Just playing it cool, isn't he? I'm still going back to this. Like, you tell me if this is fair. Okay. You tell me if this is fair. I'm going to make a statement. I think it's fair, even though I like the guy. Aston Martin have to get rid of Lance Stroll if they want to be a successful team. Discuss. If they want to start competing with the big lads at the front and they retain Fernando Alonso, they need a better teammate for him. They need a better teammate. This isn't like Red Bull where you've got Max who can win and Perez who can just get points behind him. They're trying to work their way up the constructors. They need two drivers maximizing that car. And they're not. They don't have two drivers max. They've got one driver maximize it and the other who just isn't. And Lawrence Stroll is his dad. He obviously doesn't want to do that and probably isn't going to do it. But there's other people on that bloody board as well. At some point, you have to say, sorry, son, Christmas is going to be awkward, but it's time for you to become a lawyer. Or put him in a WEC car in Aston Martin or something, but he needs a... They have to maximise their points. Maximising points means better constructor position. Constructor position means money. Constructor position also means sponsors. Yada, 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 yada. They're not maximising it. Well, yeah, you've got 2026. We don't really talk about this, but as you say, 2026, Aston Martin are moving from Mercedes to Honda. So, off the top of my head, Monkface, I don't know the exact distribution, but it's a fair few million. There is something to be said for that, as Bradley Lord's talking there. That's the first time that Mercedes have managed to get into Q3 with two sets of soft tyres. Hmm. Alonso's got 3 new sets of soft tyres. Hmm. Alonso might very well start the race on soft tyres then. Alonso might be lining up to start on softs. I mean, maybe a lot of the teams will start on softs. I don't know. The prediction is potentially a 2-stop race, but if it rains, obviously that goes out the window. Has my screen gone black? No. My screen hasn't gone black? Can confirm my screen is not black. The woman realizes she's on the big screen. Right. Well, barring some sort of insanity, Verstappen's going to get P1. It's really just a fight then between Perez, Alonso, and Norris, maybe. It's hard to say really because I think there's about 3 or 4 drivers there that could have got second, third, just depending if they hook their lap up. Norris put in a good lap, Hamilton put in a good lap at the end, but it was on a slightly, advanced track that had rubbered in a little bit more compared to the others. Norris put in a good lap time. Alonso, Leclerc. I think any one of those could end up second, third, fourth. Just depends who hooks the lap up at the right time. Yeah, I don't think it's going to rain now, but it is meant to rain. I'll check the weather report now. No, I won't. I'll do it after. I'll do it after. I won't do it during qualifying. We'll watch the laps first, and then we'll look at the weather for tomorrow morning. Do you know what we don't talk about very much? And I think for some of the races, the drivers try and stay on local time, try and stay on their own time. So they go to bed at weird times and stuff. But they fly to so many countries, drivers, and especially for rookie drivers, right? It must be so hard on you, like the time differences in a lot of these places that you're going to regularly. It must take a toll on you. I think in some of the flyaway races, though, they try and not move to local times so that it normalizes their sleep patterns a bit. So they keep on, their own time, if that makes sense. I've not explained that very well, but... Oof, purple from Hamilton. Yes, he's the only driver that's done a sector. Just bants though, isn't it? Verstappen, obviously purple now. Perez matching Max Verstappen's lap. Let's see how they get on Sector 2. Yeah, there was no bouncing from the Mercedes. Russell had a purple Sector 2, though. .28.7. Russell did a 29 flat. Yeah, it's a decent lap from Hamilton. Obviously, Verstappen's going to smash it. Yeah. Half a second. 28.2. Perez did a 28.6. What's Alonso up to? Come on. Fourth. 28.8. 6/10 off. Norris had a purple Sector 1. Sainz goes P3 with a 28.6, though. Piastri now P4 with a 28.7. Norris is going to be a good lap from Norris. Second! 28.4. 2.5 tenths. Ooh. Ooh. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. Mmm. Yeah, Norris has been really quick in Sector 1, but the McLaren is really good in the high-speed corners. I think Leclerc only had one fresh set of softs left, Sean. I think. So he only has one go. He's just going out now. He's going out now, no one around, 6 minutes left. Back to one lap qualifying. I'm not quite sure how he's ended up with only one set when everyone else has got two, including his teammate, but that's how it's happened. Great lap from Lando. Great lap from Lando. 2 tenths down on that lap from Verstappen. That is good. I think that's really good. Alonso saying he doesn't know what to do to go faster. It was a good lap. Yeah. Yeah. Alonso's like, mate, you having a laugh? P7. Well, we're going to get to see Charles Leclerc's lap here without anyone else bothering us. Yeah, Lewis being told half a second. He's like, yeah, sorry, where's that half a second? That's not what you want to hear, is it? It's not like you don't want to hear half a second when you don't know where that half a second's coming from. Like, if you say half a second, Leclerc 2.5 tenths down already. If you say half a second and you're like, yeah, well, I did make a mistake in Sector 1 or whatever, you're like, okay. But when someone says to you half a second and you're like, wait, what? 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 I'm really looking forward to Imola. Ooh, two and a half tenths from Leclerc, purple middle sector. Let me finish this lap first. Oh, he had a bad final sector, though. 7th. 2.5 tenths. He lost 2.5 tenths. He was 2.5 tenths off in the first 2 sectors, and then he lost it all. Yeah, behind Sainz, yeah. I'm looking forward to Imola because Ferrari are apparently bringing a substantial upgrade to Imola. It is really tight. I mean, a tenth more for Charles Leclerc and a tenth more for Charles Leclerc there. He could have been, well, just a tenth and a half, and he'd have been in third. That's how close it is. And he was two and a half tenths down on Verstappen through the first 2 sectors. I think he just lost some time in the chicane. Whatever he lost in the chicane has meant the difference between a time that was 3rd and a time that's 7th. Yeah, Charles Leclerc not happy. He doesn't understand. Sounded pretty lost there, Charles Leclerc. Yes, Perez up. But Max up by more. It looks so good with these camera angles, doesn't it? So good. Sainz not improving in sector 1. Oh, these laps are close. Oh, Perez, you've ruined it in the final sector. Oh. It's only a tenth off, though. It's only a tenth off. I mean, fair play. Carlos Sainz stays 4th. Sonoda says 10th. Alonso a bit ragged through the final sector there. Alonso does go 5th, though. Russell's down at the minute. Hamilton hasn't improved. Russell stays 9th. Hamilton stays 7th. So Hamilton's going to be behind both McLarens, a Ferrari, and an Aston Martin. But it looked really like Red Bull are out on their own. Norris ultimately was 3/10 down, but yeah. Hamilton didn't improve on his time either, though, for whatever reason. We didn't see it. I think he bailed out of it pretty early on. That's a little dig there, Max. Max, like, yeah, it could have been bad, but still P1, isn't it? He's like, yeah, it wasn't even a good lap, but still good enough. Still good enough to beat Perez, isn't it? Lol. I know that's not what he means, or maybe it is, but that's kind of how it sounds to me. It's like, yeah, not a good lap, guys, but you know, still good enough to beat him, isn't it? And Perez is just like, that's the best lap I could ever do. And Max is like, yeah, I probably had another half second in me. Yeah, that was a decent qualifying. I mean, close with Perez, Maka up there, Mercedes still suck. You know, it's this. You know? Yeah, I enjoyed it. I let me just have a look at the weather report. Suzuka F1 weather. What is the weather forecast for the Japanese Grand Prix? Sunday. Moderate chance of rain. Oh, it's actually gone down to only 40% chance of rain now. Chance of rain is only 40% now. So yes, the thing is, that's all he can say. The reality is that isn't an excuse because you're a team, aren't you? But it's not Russell's fault. But you're punished as a team rather than necessarily as a driver. But I think he'll get away with it in qualifying. It's not. I think he'll get away with it. I think they'll appreciate that it's just, you know. I don't think it'll be a big deal. Yes, everyone. I love you all. Thanks for joining me. I will see you tomorrow for the race. And if you don't want to get up and watch the race, that's also fine. I'll see you on Monday. Have a lovely weekend, rest of your weekend. And I will see you then. Love you all. Bye.
Two.